Hi, I'm Kat Kempe. Today I'm joined by Victor Vassallo, Kaptivate's data scientist. At Kaptivate, we're thinking a lot about AI and its impacts on the workforce, both in our home region in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and in the broader economy. Victor, you did some digging into how AI is covered in news and media. What did you see in the data, and what are we actually looking at here?
So the visuals we're looking at here comprise what we call sentiment analysis. Now that's a bit of a big technical term, but really all it means is looking at how the story of AI, specifically AI in the workforce, is told and the tone that that's told through. To perform this analysis, we looked at over 6,000 articles, specifically with a lens of AI in the workforce, in social impact, and with regard to young grads entering the workforce. And what we found, I feel, is a lot different of how many of us feel about AI with regard to those topics.
And what stood out to you when you looked at the data?
Over 2/3 of the stories were actually quite positive in tone, far more optimistic than I think most people would expect. Now that, surprised me, and I think would surprise many people, because their gut feelings about AI, especially AI in the workforce, is actually quite negative. But when we move over to the average PR hit score, a composite measure of engagement metrics, author reputation, and outlet reach, you get a much different story. You actually find that those positive scores aren't reaching the same audiences as the neutral scores, and they're reaching a significantly lower audience than the negative stories. That could be a problem.
What deeper insights came out beyond tone?
Well, if you look a little bit deeper, you can see that from the box plot, they cover far fewer aspects or distinct topics, and are more often than not tend to boil down to one or two relatively simple topics and sharp warnings. And they cover fewer ideas. Now, by contrast, the plot also shows that positive and neutral stories are consistently more layered and multifaceted, which can contribute to lower rates of engagement and retention. And that's further substantiated in the graph of top aspects across stories. Although it can be difficult to assign sentiment to individual aspects, if you look at the bar chart of top aspects, you can see that employment absolutely towers above everything else. Which makes sense. You're talking about AI in the workforce, the first thing you think of is, hey, how's this going to affect my job? And of course, there are other topics like data, business, and intelligence that are also frequently addressed, but employment is far and away the most talked about because it's simple and it's polarizing.
That's so interesting. And so what's the big takeaway here?
So the big takeaway is that media about AI is no different than any other media out there. It has a negative bias, it uses doom and gloom as clickbait, and these outlets know that these positive but more layered stories don't grab attention in the same way. There's a lot of noise out there, and it's tough to sift through all that static. And that's where Kaptivate jumps in. We have the ability to extract compelling narratives, connecting them to people who want to see them, and presenting them in ways that are clear and impactful. There's a difference between just telling stories and telling them effectively, and that's where Kaptivate can come in.
Wonderful. Thank you, Victor, and thank you for sharing about our insights on AI in the media and Kaptivate's data storytelling capabilities.